All right, LSU and Ole Miss. Joe, since 2003, the year that LSU won their first national championship in this mini dynasty that I somewhat think that they did have, but people don't like to, talk about it because it happened with 3 different coaches.
Okay.
2 teams in the SEC have gone on the road back-to-back weeks and won both games. 2019 LSU, 2022 Georgia. LSU's got back-to-back road games. And statistically in all those back-to-back road losses or road games, usually the first one's the one that you lose, right? I don't know if that matters because I know that it comes off in a different way when I talk about LSU. Brian Kelly has taken some unfair criticism this week, and I'm hearing some things. Can LSU go about in reference to about how this team is refocused?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying LSU can go into Oxford and kick somebody's ass. I think it's going to be a hostile environment. It's a 2.5-point spread. This game is historically close when teams are good. Joe, this is the first time in, I think, over 10 years or close to 10 years that this game has 2 top 20 ranked teams at the same time going up against one another. I don't think it matters because I think Ole Miss, from what I've seen and studying them so far, defensively, their safeties, you can't find them with a search warrant. They are lost at times. But I don't think that they have the personnel to guard Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Nabers, and a guy that we talked about a lot in joking, man, Logan Diggs has gone off in these first couple of weeks. Gone off. And the pass protection has been elite by him. But what I don't like, and this is what puts a pit in my stomach as an LSU fan, I don't like Lane Kiffin getting punked at the party, and the next week you got to play him, right? Like he got punked last week against Alabama. I think he's going to come out guns blazing, and he's going to want to make a point that he is one of the best play callers in the country. With a weak LSU secondary, I do not like that at all because I don't care what the teams are. When you start trading punches in scoring, a.k.a. LSU last week with Arkansas, anybody can win. It comes down to who has the ball last. That's how it historically comes down to. I think LSU's, it's either going to be Ole Miss upsets them because LSU just doesn't have the personnel in the defense, or I do think LSU can go in there and really take it to them. I really do.
I don't so much think that it's Lane Kiffin who got punked at the party. I think it's Lane Kiffin got exposed that this team is really not that good. For them to look as lifeless as they did against Alabama, a bad Alabama team for their standards.
A worst Alabama team in
that game, if you're going to lose that game, it needs to be much closer than it was. And we all watched it. We all saw what happened. I think that if they beat Alabama, I'd be coming in here and I'd be giving you so much shit. I would be coming after you saying that Ole Miss is going to win. But I basically discovered that this team isn't equipped to succeed taking shots downfield because they tried and they failed. The play calling has been too conservative. But why I really think that LSU has a very likely chance here to win this football game is that offensive line for Ole Miss has been terrible. They have struggled to protect really Jaxson Dart. Jaxson Dart does a good job of getting the ball off and handling pressure, I think, more than people give him credit for. But they have not protected him well. But most importantly, they can't run the damn ball. And that offense, as much as they have been statistically ranked as a top 15 passing offense, they will succeed because it is a balanced attack. And they yet this season, Quinshon Judkins has yet to explode. He has yet to have those games.
He's been hurt.
He's been banged up, but like you might even argue that he's been banged up because he's been getting hit so much and he hasn't really been given the rushing lanes to succeed. This rushing attack was what was so hard to stop last year. and it's non-existent. And we're starting to see that this offense does not operate the same way when it's not effectively balanced. I think that as much as it is scary, yes, that LSU secondary has not been good up until this point. They're probably going to give up a couple early splash plays where you're going to be saying, God damn, why didn't they cover that guy a little bit better? But I think as this game moves on, as the attrition starts to set in, those defensive linemen that were dominant against Florida State, and now that we've got Harold Perkins playing the proper role, they're going to get after those guys. They're going to get after Jaxson Dart. They're going to slow down that run game. And I think just like the Alabama game, the second half rolls around and LSU can start to pull away. It might be close in the first half, and then we start to see some separation.
Last night on my show, I challenged this LSU front seven. If you can't get after this offensive line, then you have issues.
Yep.
Right? Like you have issues. They have not been able to run the ball on Tulane. They couldn't run the ball against Alabama. Well, I don't know if your front seven is better than Alabama because they have studs everywhere, but I know for damn sure your front seven is better than Tulane.
Tulane, yeah.
You know, and so one's a company, two's a crowd. If it happened to them once and it happened to them twice and you can't do it, then you have some issues. That will be a big thing. But last year, I'm going to talk about this tonight ad nauseum. Last year, Jayden Daniels went for almost 400 yards and 4 scores. He went nuclear in the second half. I think that he has found a stride. I don't worry about them offensively scoring. I think that they could come out maybe a little sluggish early because Jayden is the type of dude that likes to feel it. Look, and LSU fans get pissed off about this. He likes to fill a team out, likes to see what they're running, and then once he sees it once, it's like a boxer in the first or second round, Joe, when he is just feeling things out, you know, and he wants to get his looks, and then once he does, he starts firing the ball down the field. Ole Miss is going to have to find ways to score because I think they're going to have to keep up with LSU. I don't see LSU being in an issue where they can't score points. Let's find out what happens here. But if I'm LSU, I really want to go out here and make a statement because, look, even though they won last week, you have everybody and their mama saying that this defense sucks, right? Like everybody's saying that you suck. Brian Kelly has taken some very unfair criticism like today, which I'll talk about this tonight too. Pat Forty on the SEC teleconference was calling in for Brian Kelly asking about, you know, the 10-player thing and the staff thing. What happened?
Oh, nothing. I'm just, why are you giving me that look?
Dude, by the way that you just looked, I thought somebody died.
No. It's just
your girlfriend just break up with you?
No.
Did your girlfriend break up with you?
You think my girlfriend would break? By the way, she listens to the show, so I'm gonna get it. This is gonna get brought up.
Okay.
You think she would just break up with me over text? You think that I'm?
I've never met her. You've never let me. You've only let me speak to her once.
You've never spoken to her. Wait.
Yeah, I remember when y'all were in Boston. Y'all were standing next to each other, and I was like, "Hey."
Yeah. You called me. Okay, let's get back on topic. No, I got a work-related text, and it sounded more alarming than it was.
Do they not know that you're doing something more important?
Oh no! See, I get interrupted all the time. I get phone calls. You just don't notice it. I get like.
Just so everybody knows, Joe works for our parent company, Believe.
Yeah, I'm a full-time producer. It's funny because like usually the hour leading up to the show, nothing happens, and I have like free time. It's weird. And then as soon as we start, it's like email, text message, phone call. It's nobody respects my time. But continue what you were saying.
LSU has to go in here and make a statement. And you know what? It doesn't look. I think personally that this is the toughest 2 weeks that they have. Going into Tuscaloosa does not scare me. LSU plays better there. I don't know what it is. I think it's the bye week that they always have there. I mean, Joe Orgeron almost went there in 2020 and beat them. Okay, he almost went there in 2021. He almost went there in 2021 and beat them. Bottom line comes down to this is the toughest 2 weeks. You're about to find out a lot about your team. And a lot of people think that you're really bad right now, and some people think that you're really good. Ole Miss, here's another thing too. Ole Miss is not out of this race because I don't think Alabama is going to win 2 more SEC games. Or I do think they're going to lose 2 SEC games. Like I really do. I don't think Ole Miss is out of this at all. If there is if I'm Lane, Joe, I know that he's got Weiss calling plays, I'm taking the play card. Like, and listen, I asked Stephen Willis this last night, our good buddy over at Locked On Ole Miss. Buddy, people starting to chirp out there in Ole Miss because of what happened with Auburn last year. Lane kind of saying he wanted the job, and then it all kind of got blown up. The honeymoon period is over. Yeah. They're starting to chirp a little bit on him too.
Yeah, I look, I think you're a little more optimistic on Ole Miss than I am. I think they're a little bit better than Kentucky, but I think it has been as we all know and understand, the AP poll is kind of a joke because a lot of times these voters, they're like, oh, there's an undefeated SEC team. I'm going to throw them on the back end of it. And them and Kentucky have benefited from that over the past couple of weeks. And they didn't get taken off because they lost to a ranked Alabama team. I think that this is a 4-loss, maybe even 5-loss Ole Miss team. I think that they're fine. There's too many deficiencies, and you're not going to win in college football with a bad offensive line. It's just not going to happen. Yes, is there a path for them to maybe beat LSU like we're talking about here? There definitely is a path for it. You have to pick up a lot of splash plays. Your receivers need to make big plays. You got to run the football. But I think that from what we saw last week, it's more likely than not that you're not going to accomplish that. If you couldn't freaking outscore Jalen Milroe, who threw a pick in the red zone on one of the worst throws that I've seen all season long, and you can't, a team that blocked one of your punts and didn't score on that drive, the fact that you didn't beat that freaking team or at least keep it within 3 points is goddamn pathetic. We said that. They have underwhelmed so much, and I'm disappointed that they have.
Yeah, look, I do think that Ole Miss does have a path defensively. I don't think it is, Joe. They're not in the top 50. I'm looking for them now. I can't.
They don't do anything exceptionally well except for throw the ball because they have to. They're forced to throw the ball as much as they are.
No,
and most of their rushing production comes from Jaxson Dart. That's the weirdest part about all of it.
That's the scary part. If you're them, they got to get Quinshon involved. And look, Joe, I would throw them the ball out in the flat a little bit. Let him get some touches. But look, I do think that that game's at night. I just don't like it. I got that feeling inside my bones.